A wise man once said, packing your vehicle for a road trip is very different than packing for off-road. The packing for off-road is like having your personal baggage handler throwing your stuff around. You know what it's like, the airport baggage handler. Hey, Ronny Dahl, Four Wheeling Australia. A video that's been requested for years. Yes, years. Off-road packing tips. How to pack your vehicle for off-road. I've got some really good tips in this video, which we've learned for over the course of however long we've been four-wheeling for. All the tag-along tours have been on. But not only that, all the modified episodes that I've featured is almost 85 plus vehicles on modified, and I've seen all their different setups. Let's get straight into this so you guys can get some really good packing tips. One of my best tips that I can give you, this is probably my #1 tip for packing. It is the simplest one too. First out, last in, your tables. It needs to be the first thing that can come out without moving anything else, and the last thing to go in without it having to be packed underneath. Now, table is a big, large, flat sort of object. You tend to pack your vehicle with putting all the flat stuff at the bottom because it's the easier way to stack it. Now, some people who design drawer systems go to the length of making a certain slot just for the table, or to have a certain spot to put the table so they can get it out first and put it in last, because as you just noted, when there's a table around, people gravitate to it and put their stuff on it. And you do that yourself as well. So when you go to pack up camp, all our stuff just goes on the table. And if you need that table to go in first, where's all the stuff going to go? So make sure the table is first out and last in, and you'll be sweet as. When you're doing a road trip and you're not going off-road, you can get away with putting glass on glass. You can wrap a towel around one glass and leave the other glass okay. Nothing's going to happen. But when you're off-roading, you've got to be a bit more clever than that. So let's do that. Okay, so that's probably what will simulate some pretty bad corrugations. And because we were smart about it, it was kind of okay. Let's do it again. Damn. Don't put breakables with breakables. If you already have your vehicle and it's completely loaded and you're not happy with how it is, or it's been loaded for a long time, this is what I suggest you do, and I've done this myself. Empty absolutely everything out of your vehicle, all the contents. And you'll see right now how much stuff I've been carrying. And look, out of a lot of that stuff, there was a lot of stuff that there's a lot of that stuff that I actually took out of my setup and put in a storage box away for another time when I actually need it for a particular trip. For example, I had these vessel things, which are really cool for hiking. I'm not planning on hiking anytime soon, so I've stored them away. I found multiple rolls of garbage bags. I found heaps of rubbish, which I cleaned up. Look, my vehicle was a bit of a mess, but I guarantee you will find something. You might even find that knife that you were missing for years that you couldn't see anymore. So you'll be surprised what you'll find. Batteries. What the? Ugh. Moldy pizza. There's a couple of questions you need to ask yourself here. and these are questions that my missus normally asks, so they're actually really good ones. The first one, which I'm sure you've heard before when you bought something, do you really need that? Do you actually need it? Do you need to bring it? We have a lot of stuff we don't need. But those are the questions you need to ask yourself. And have I doubled up on this? Why am I carrying 3 axes? Who needs 3 axes? Or 2 saws? And a machete, for that matter. I'll be honest, I'll put all the 3 axes back in again. There are some items you're not going to want to take out of your setup, but you should look at them all and have a hard think about it and have a good look at what you have. Categorisation, one of my favourite ones. Now we're going to go from A to B to C to D, alphabetical order, surprise, surprise. It's not going to make much sense until we get to the end of this, but A to me is stuff that you need within arm's reach. A torch, a head torch, your phone, bug spray, water, everyday things you need at any time during the day. B is stuff you need, for example, clothing, brush your teeth, camping gear, stuff like that, stuff that you need to be able to access, that's easy access. So you open your canopy door, there it is. You open your door on your vehicle, there it is, your clothing bag, whatever it is. Also like your cookers and stuff, you want to pull up for a quick lunch stop cooking, you don't want to have to dig for it to get it out. You want it to be in a nice, easy location. That is B. Then we come to C. C, categorisation is everything that's underneath, perhaps buried underneath B, because it's not stuff you need all the time. Tools you don't need all the time. If you need tools, if you need to change your tyre, obviously you're going to be there for a while anyway. So let's dig for those things. Then we move on to D. We have a circuit breaker. How often do you need a circuit breaker? Hopefully never. Hopefully you never ever need it. But if you're on a remote trip, it's probably good to have stowed away in the dark depths of your vehicle. For example, on a tub, on the back of a ute, the tub bit, if you have a drawer system, you've got these little wings that are kind of useless. Now, a lot of people will see them modified, they have stuff like radiator hoses and all those things and spare wheel bearings. Those kind of things you can tuck away in those areas. It doesn't take up your space and they're there in case you need it. Hopefully you will never need it. But that's what I'm talking about here. So categorisation D is like extra bolts and wheel nuts and wheel studs and all those things. I think you get where I'm going here. A, you need to get to at any time. B, easy access. C, somewhere else that's not too hard to get to, but it's not easy either. And D, pain in the ass to get to, but you'll pull over anyway. Okay, picture this. You are getting ready for one of the biggest trips you've ever done. You're going away for, say, 3 to 4 weeks maybe even longer. You have to cram a lot of stuff in. But do you need to bring all this stuff? Does part of your convoy have this stuff already? If you are driving in a convoy of the same vehicle, why should you all bring the same spare wheel bearings? I think only one vehicle should bring 2 or something like that. I think only one vehicle needs to bring a high lift jack. I think only one vehicle needs to bring an air jack. You're getting my drift here? I think only one vehicle should really bring electrical tools. How many soldering irons do you need? Probably just one. So I could do an entire video on this subject. Me and Torben have been talking about this because we implement this on every single trip we do. And there are a lot of things that you don't realise that you double up on. This can go all the way to recovery gear. Everything in this drawer. Do I really need to bring all that? And you will find that once you start relying on each other and each other's gear, you'll find that you have so much less gear in your vehicle. And you have more room for the other things that you may need on this really long trip to make it comfortable. So convoy split packing, I'm going to call it. Implement that too. We're now on to the important stuff, the non-negotiables when it comes to packing your vehicle and storage. Far too often I see first aid kits too difficult to get to, fire extinguishers put in the most ridiculous places, underneath everything. This is very important. So we'll start with the first aid kit. Now, if you don't have one, go out and bloody well get one. You need one of these. And the reason why they're red and they have a big cross on some of them, it's so people know what it is, they can identify it and grab it straight away. So this needs to be in a very accessible area that everyone knows where it is. Because when they see it, they know what it is, they can grab it and then use it. If you're injured, maybe your passengers don't know where it is because it's hidden. That's what I'm getting at. If you're traveling out in the Australian bush, especially, a snake bite kit is a good thing to have. And knowing how to use it, all you need to do is do a first aid course. They actually cover snake bite treatments in that nowadays. If you don't have this, like it's not something you have to have, but I think if you don't have this, you're kind of risking it out there. It's, you know, if you get nailed by a snake and you don't know what to do, you're pretty much cactus. And for those overseas viewers, cactus means dead. Fire extinguisher, just as important as the rest of them. Now, I would actually recommend having 2 of these. I've only got one at this stage, but I want to put another one on the back somewhere. As you can see here, this is very easy to get to, very quick to get to, and these are super important. If you don't have one of these in your vehicle, you should not be out there wheeling, especially remote areas, or anywhere really, because a fire can happen anywhere, especially in a hot climate. Communications. If you do have a satellite phone, have it somewhere where it's easy to find. Tell your passengers where it is, because again, if something goes wrong, okay, so it's all about where you store things here. And last but not least, medications, even your basic stuff like your well, this is Nurofen, which is ibuprofen, I think it's called. Panadol, which is paracetamol, and just other various, you know, medications you may need. And especially if you are allergic to stuff and you have an EpiPen, have all that stuff with the first aid kit so people know where to find it. That's probably the best place actually. Put your meds in the first aid kit. That's about all I've got to say about the non-negotiables. Okay, this one should be obvious, but to many it is not obvious. When possible, and try and make this possible every single time, put the lightest gear up high. Put the heaviest gear lowest to the ground, lowest to the center of gravity. We see a lot of people putting jerry cans on their roof because that's the only place they can put it. Now I understand you're limited for space, a lot of people, so it's either get a bigger fuel tank or maybe consider hanging them off the back of the vehicle rather than on top of the vehicle, because if you're going serious off-roading, you are more prone to tipping. If you're going at fast speeds on gravel roads and you have to swerve for whatever reason, you're more likely to tip over. When you hit the brakes real hard because you have a whole heap of kangaroos or cattle or whatever out in front of you, out in the middle of nowhere, that roof rack may come off because you've got so much weight on that roof rack. See what the roof rack is actually rated at as well. On my roof rack, I only have semi-permanent things up there. 1 permanent solar panel and 2 semi-permanent max tracks, and my antennas and my lights and a shower awning. All those things added up, it's probably going to be more weight than what I actually realised. It's probably about 60 kilos up there just in that. So most people would have the same on their roof plus fuel jerrys, and not just 2. And not just 4, some have 5 plus. This one is full, it's 20 kilos. 20 kilos is not light. How long can you stand with 20 kilos in each hand? It won't take long before you start fatiguing. Now just imagine that amount of weight sitting on that roof rack with all the other stuff. It's not a good thing. Plenty of tips so far, and I trust you like a lot of them. This one we're going to keep very short. GVM. What is your GVM? Look, most people are too scared to go over the weight scales. Just do it. You don't have to tell anyone, okay? It's good to know how much overweight your vehicle is. You might be surprised and you might be surprised. You never know. So just take it over and just weigh it. Don't tell anyone. Just keep that information to yourself. It's better to know than not to know. Now we're going to talk about weight distribution. Distributing weight on your vehicle can be as simple as I put my fridge on this side, I put my spare tyre on that side. If I had my spare tyre and fridge on the same side, it kind of doesn't balance the vehicle out as much. You want to balance it out as best as you can. Things to consider: the stuff that's already in your vehicle, the permanent stuff. your battery, house battery in the back perhaps, it's on one side. Well then maybe think about it. If it's an AGM, it's going to weigh like 30 kilos. So maybe if you're putting a fridge in, put it on the opposite side. Your spare tyre, where's that going to go? So think about these things. Try not to put too much over the back of your vehicle either, because it's going to have the effect of you lifting wheels when you're off-road. So just take it into consideration when you're packing your vehicle. Play that Tetris game inside your head over and over and over, and eventually you'll suss it out. The ultimate thing is to cut out the heavy gear you do not need. Very obvious. Strap your stuff down. If you don't strap your stuff down, you may get to camp without a swag if you're the last vehicle. I've seen swags come out of the back of utes before. Comfort over space. This is a bad example of comfort. This is a cheap chair from Bunnings, I think. It's probably the worst, well, it's the cheapest chair you can get for camping, right? But you can see how much space it takes up. So imagine like a decent quality chair, like your $30, $50 chair, maybe even more than that. They're quite big, especially your moon chairs, they're huge. So if you want to ditch your comfort, you can. And you can go more versatile stuff. This is a table and a stool. Yeah, I know most people want to sit in a chair, but the point here, you can implement this throughout your whole system. Your pillow. Do you bring your home pillow? Can you get away with using your towels that you're bringing already? These are good things to consider if you're struggling for space. I'm not saying go and be uncomfortable to gain more space, but there may be some things that you can go without. This one's a quick one, and it's to do with your fridge. The more stuff you keep inside your fridge, the more efficient it's going to run, and the cooler everything is going to stay as well. So obviously it all needs to cool it down first, but when you're driving, it's not really costing you power, is it? So the more you have in your fridge, the better it's going to run. Another good tip with this particular fridge, I've got two different baskets. I've got one for the freezer, one for the fridge, and I can easily pull them out and see what's in there and load them up, especially when you're at home as well. So that's just a quick fridge packing tip. Most fridges have baskets, so you should be able to do that with most. Label it. Beer, 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 and more beer. Jokes aside, here is a perfect example of what I'm talking about. This box is dedicated to all campfire cooking, from prepping the food to a surface to cook it on to cleaning it. Everything in one box. Frying pan, cleaning bag, billy, bowls, barbecue cleaners, paper towel, all my utensils, everything I need, even fire lighters, even my little grill in here, is in this box here. Regardless if I'm using my ute or I'm bringing a trailer, it's a matter of taking it from the shelf and putting it straight into the trailer or the ute. So simple, so easy. Just keep it simple, stupid. Stupid, simple. Refine and label everything you have. Recognize it. Because if you don't, how do you know what is what? It works a treat. For example, my daughter has labelled hers sloth. She loves sloths. She knows that's her bag. TP and wipes. We know what's in there. This one here is not labelled. I don't know what's in there. Anyone who's travelling with me, they don't know what's in there. The best tip of the whole video, just check out the modified episodes. There's a portion in the modified episodes you can check out, which is called the rear setup. That rear setup and the interior setup is going to teach you so many different ways of loading up your vehicle. All the clever ideas that these people have come up with. So just grab a bunch of them. Say you're a wagon owner, grab all the wagon ones, and just indulge yourself in all that information that's there. Just on the rear setups. You're probably going to get stuck watching all the other stuff, but you are going to get some really great ideas, especially utes and canopies and you name it, it's on there. So that was a whole heap of tips, and this has been a long time coming, so I apologise for those who have been very patient, and thank you for your patience, by the way. What is your ultimate packing tip? There's got to be one that I haven't covered. There's got to be so many out there. You know, everyone camps and drives different vehicles, so I bet you've got one that I haven't brought up, chuck it down in the comments below. And thanks for watching. See you guys. Happy packing for off-roading.